Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Anjali. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about how you can tell a story, because when it comes to talk about storytelling, people are very curious to learn how they are going to tell a story in an effective way, in an attractive way, so people could find them so attractive. So that's why in this video, I just want to make sure that in this video, the purpose of creating this video is to not to tell you that I am a good storyteller. I'm not. But the purpose of creating this video is to make you aware. How? Because this storytelling is a part of practice. So here I'm going to talk about storytelling just because to make you to do your practice well. Here I'm not so much experienced telling stories, but I just want to make sure that whatever I have learned, I just want to share with you all. So that's why I'm creating this video. I have no intent to tell you that I am very good at storytelling, but whatever I have learned, I can easily share with you all, because I want you to do speaking practice, and storytelling plays an important role whenever we are going to talk about our speaking practice. If we are good at storytelling, if we are good at telling all these things that occurs in our day-to-day life, it becomes very easier for us to speak in English fluently. So that's why behind creating this video, my only intention is that to make you familiar to do your speaking practice by doing storytelling. Okay, so without wasting any further time of yours, let's get into this video. So the first thing that I consider when it comes to talk about storytelling, you just need to make sure that you are going to have a good command over tenses, and specifically past tenses, because whatever happened in the past, we generally talk about that thing in to the another person. Yeah, because whatever happened in the past, I'm just going to talk about that to you. But if you don't know the real use of present indefinite, if you don't know the real use of past tenses, you're going to talk about your story, you get a lot of difficulties, and your listeners, they won't understand you, what are you trying to tell to them. So make sure that in order to tell a story, you are going to make a good uses of past tense. If you don't understand past tense, first make sure that you are going to understand them well. And not only past tense, every single tense you need to understand in order to tell a story. For example, you are talking about past and you are using present tense. Does this make any sense? Absolutely not. Your listener, they are not going to understand what are you trying to say to them. So that's why makes storytelling, it is very important. When you are going to tell a story, you just need to have a good command over tenses, because if you are not comfortable with tenses, if you are not understanding tenses, it gets very difficult for you to tell a story and to make your listener to listen to you. If you are not going to engage, if your listener is not going to engage with your story, what do you think, they would feel like listening to you anymore? No. So you, in order to make them engage to listen to your story, you just need to make sure that you are going to use tense well. Okay, and let's move on to the second point, that is taking necessary pauses. This thing I truly believe that if you are not going to take necessary pauses, it is not going to make your mind to frame more sentences and to come up with few more things that is going to be very interesting to listen. Okay, so that's why I always make sure that whenever I'm going to create video, I'm going to take necessary pauses, so that my listener, whatever person who is listening to me, is going to be very eager to listen what am I going to speak next. So this is very important. Whenever you are going to tell a story, you just need to make sure that you are going to take necessary pauses, so that will make your listeners to be curious to listen to you what you are going to speak next. Okay, so make sure that you are going to understand about it. Okay, so let's move on to the third topic. I truly believe in it. Literally, I just want to tell you that I feel like if you are not going to do this third one thing, it is going to be very difficult for you to tell a story in an effective way. It is going to be very difficult for you to tell a story the way you want to speak. What usually happens whenever we tell stories, sometimes we came across with fancy words. This thing happens with me, but I don't use it. You just need to be very simple. Whenever you are going to tell a story, whenever you are doing storytelling, you just need to make sure that you are going to use simple language here. I'm not talking about specifically that you are going to speak in English. Whatever your language is, whatever your mother tongue is, if you are going to tell a story, and if you're going to tell it in simple words without using complex and fancy words. And for example, if you are comfortable with some fancy words, you can add it. But if you're not comfortable, it's better for you not to use them. Yeah, because during this thing happens with all of us. Whenever I'm just creating this video, and most of the time I came across with few fancy words and I feel like to use it. But I thought that first I just need to make a good command over those fancy words, which I can inculcate while telling a story. If I'm not going to understanding the meaning of that word, it gets difficult for me to cover up my story. So that's why you just need to make sure that you are going to tell a story in simple words. Okay, do not use complex words, do not use fancy words. If you are good at them, if you are good at those words, you can just use it. But if you are not, make sure that you are not going to use it. Why you're going to use it when it will make your listeners not to listen to you any further, because they also didn't get understand, they also don't understand what you're trying to say. So you just need to convince them just by using simple words, just by using simple language. You don't need to make your conversation, you don't need to make your storytelling so complicated by using complicated words, by using fancy words. Those words you don't, yeah, if you're understanding them, good. But if you're not understanding them, what's the use of all those things? What's the use, whatever you are going to speak? And most of the time this thing happens whenever a person, and it makes you to go in flow. For example, you have used one complex word while telling a story, but your mind, it gets little disturbed with that word, that did I use it correct? No, I didn't use it correct. So it will break your flow. The way you are telling story, it will break it, because your mind, it will start thinking about your mistake, that you made this mistake. Why did you use that fancy word? Why did you use that complex word if you didn't know the meaning of that word? So that's why, in order to not to break your flow of telling a story, you just need to make sure that you are going to speak it in a simple way. What's the difficulties in it? I always try to believe, if I'm going to create a video, I always make sure that I'm going to speak it, everything I'm going to speak it in simple words, so that the another person is not going to find any kind of difficulties to understand it, and whatever I'm trying to say to that person, he or she can understand it well.